Did we post it on the?
Okay, we are live. Hello, friends. How you
Hey,
doing?
everybody.
We're
Hi,
back from
ladies.
vacation. Hope everyone had a good 4th of July
It was
break.
okay.
Hope you told a
Um,
MAGA in your life that they own January 6th, not July 4th. That's for
Yep.
people that actually believe in democracy and the American, dream of freedom, opportunity, safety, peace, all of it.
that's a good point. We don't
Absolutely.
own.
And I love my
I have to
country,
say,
but I'm not hanging an American flag until women and shit get their rights back.
yeah,
Not
until I'm
doing
an
it.
equal citizen,
That's right.
right? I am
Well,
glad
we
to
got.
see. Of course, my audience is carefully selected, but the people in my social media are all freaking out about Project 2025 and Republican dipshittery in general and all that kind of stuff. So that is whew, a relief because there for a while they were like silent. I'm like, guys, are you not paying
Yeah.
attention?
Yeah,
I
I'm really.
wasn't hearing anything either. Oh, Sheila. I hope I said her name correctly. But yeah, people should be scared of Project 2025. And if you
Well, I'm
don't
seeing
know
a lot of
about
websites pop
you
up.
better read up on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
I'm
seems.
really
I
glad
mean, I'm
that.
hearing that a
Because
lot
it
of the press
affects,
is starting to cover it now too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were really, really thorough when they constructed Project 2025. It's made by a bunch of people that were in Trump's previous administration, like his chief of staff, people in all kinds of different departments. Now, what they
yep.
did is the first time he went in, he didn't have a fucking plan because he didn't think he was going to win the presidency. But we were all there when it
Yeah, he was
happened.
just he was just banking on press to start his new business.
Yeah, like Jared fucking Kushner walked around and said, and how many of these federal employees will be staying on to the next administration? And the guy looked at him like the dipshit he was and said, none of them. You're supposed to
Yeah.
bring your own. So this time, Project 2025 has recruited thousands and thousands of applications from right wing nut jobs that want to put God back into, well, actually, they want to get rid of schools. That's in Project
Yeah.
2025. The education system, just gone.
Oh, and honey, you got special needs kids? You're
Sorry.
fucked.
Yeah, fuck
Fuck,
you, I
fuck.
guess,
They
is
don't,
what they're saying. Them, not us, never. Um, yeah, but they were really,
Um,
really thorough. They were
I
all
just
in the
wanted to show.
administration, and I'm sorry, just to finish my point because I
Oh,
tangented
yeah,
and
I'm
got
sorry.
lost.
I thought.
It's okay.
Sorry.
They were all in the administration. They pushed and prodded and tried different things. You know, when Trump said, "Hey, do this," and they saw what they could do and what they couldn't do, and now they have a plan to make it so that they can do more next time without needing Congress. So the checks and balances gone.
yep.
And the Supreme
And
Court just
Supreme
helped
Court
them
just
with
Oh,
that.
yeah.
yeah. Thank
I
you.
just wanted to. This is the actual document. I'll scroll. I'm not going to scroll obviously the whole document, but a lot of these names you may not recognize. But Ben Carson, Ken Cuccinelli.
Yep.
He was the guy who came up with the idea to split up families of
During
migrants that
the first Trump presidency.
Oxford educated. You know, I love how they call us the elitists, but I go to a small public college, and they say I'm the elitist. Just saying.
You know, I'm sorry. Schools like that don't mean shit to me anymore, like Oxford, Cambridge, because
So many of them are legacy enrollments anymore.
yeah, I'm like,
Chris Miller, the DOD secretary who wouldn't call for help for Jan 6th.
mm-hmm.
Peter Navarro, he's in prison right now.
Yeah.
Love that for him.
Roger Servino.
Oh, look,
I don't remember
Heritage
the
Foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the director of the civil rights under Trump.
Oh,
Ross Vogt, he's been on the news on the conservative side. He's the guy who really wants to fire everybody. That was
Oh.
his brainchild. Paul Dans. So, and then it scrolls into contributors. So, all sorts of different
I saw Steve
foundations,
Bannon float by.
nonprofits. A lot of them, you know, you may not know because it's not within your information. I don't want to say information silo, but they're not in our information silo. So just some.
Yeah. Wow.
A lot of companies are in it. So I won't go through all of them, but I just wanted to, like, if you
look,
want.
Mr. Salter from Texas Tech University with his ass on there.
Like a lot of Texas girls here, so we have a very special place for Texan bigot men.
Wait,
All
thank
together
you,
now.
Tech. Jesus.
Yeah, I think I'm the only like Yankee of the group.
It's okay.
We still love you. You're not responsible for where you were born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't help it. We were born here.
Right? We can't help. There's so much stupid coming out of Texas, guys. We promise
There's
we're
so
cool.
And I remember a time when I was like such a proud Texan, and now I'm like,
I know. I'm so sad, and I have so much cool Texan swag I want to wear and slap on the bumper sticker, you know, on my car and all of it.
I
But
mean,
I'm
we got
like,
great
I
food
kind
and
of
great
feel like
places to see, but I'm like, don't come here.
right? It's like, not until, you know,
even
your
keep
daughter
the
and your wife
power
can go
on.
without, you know, fearing for their rights. Or, you know, if you have anything more tan than, you know, crazy pale. Oh, don't, that's a Bruce. Crazy pale. Any more tan than crazy pale, you know, you can be in danger of Abbott, you know, carting you off to wherever.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people
I
that
just
I was
wanted to.
sentenced to life, but I got off in 18 years for good behavior or bad behavior, however you want to look at it.
That's funny. You could say the same about me.
I still visit the lifers, though.
Hey, I grew up in such a rural place. I hurried to the city as fast as I could, y'all. Fast as I
Okay, sorry. We'll stop talking Texas.
Yeah,
Go.
sorry.
Oh, no. I just wanted to point this out to people. So we made a little link tree of different Project 2025 tools. This is a really great summary guide, especially if you want to reference things. It has a lot of the key points and gives you the page numbers. So it turns 900 pages into like 50. So it's really handy.
Very good.
This is a quiz to see if Project 2025 supports you. Don't overthink it. It's just meant to show you that it likely doesn't support you. And then just the actual text of the document, you know, different things that the Heritage Foundation has published. And this was a video I did about the Heritage Foundation that goes into like a really comprehensive look at how they got started and how we got here, how they got there to their to being, you know, Project 2025. And then also some stuff, what you can do, actionable steps that, you know, this is really overwhelming. I get overwhelmed and I love information and I'm just like, how do we even go about stopping this? But
Right.
you can plan your vote. There's finding out who your candidates are, what the ballot measures are in your area, who's running for, so we have time to look at who stands for what. Then link to the Library of Democracy tree where we have a lot of other, you know, more Library of Democracy related stuff. But so put that together for y'all. It's easy to share. And especially if you have family like Dee was just talking about that, you know, well, I haven't heard about this. Well, here you go. So that,
Yeah.
and
this is great. This is a great guide to really help you shift through all that info because that's a lot of information. And there's a lot of things. So this is a great, great guide.
Yeah, and if you subscribe to it, you get like a notification that says like stuff is added to it. So as you know, it gets closer, I'm sure I'll find things that might be helpful. I want to add different things that you can volunteer for and where to find those, like Field Team 6 and postcarding, how you can get involved with phone banking. Yeah, it sucks, but there's a reason why they do it, because it works.
Yep.
And there's a ton of stuff. I can't think of it off the top of my head right now.
I mean, people go canvassing if they're into that. If you like going door to door, I wasn't a big fan of going door to door.
Yeah,
but, you know, canvassing, phone banking, postcards. I mean, there's just
Yeah, if you're a hermit
Yeah.
crab like me, the postcards are brilliant. I could sit here at 2 a.m. when I
Yeah.
can't sleep, and I did like 500 of them at midterms, and I sent them to people who don't know my name and I don't know their name, and we're never going to meet, and I could feel like I did something good. It just cost me the cost of postage
yep.
and my
Yep.
time.
So yeah, I mean, and if you look at different campaigns in your area, they also, their homepages usually have like what you can do. You know, if you have skills, you know, like I never thought my skills would be helpful in an election. Well, I don't know why I thought that, but like, you know, I never thought, and lo and behold, you know, Tony needed help with stuff. So that's how we became friends. I helped him find stuff and create things um, and that kind of thing. So you never know who
No.
needs whatever your skill set is. Good at memes or graphic design. I'm sure some candidate social media account who can't afford one
Yep.
could use your help, and you know, so those kinds of things. So you know, it's easy to look at the big picture. I was just talking about this to somebody. It's easy to look at the big picture, and this is a big picture, and
Mhm.
get really overwhelmed and like, what can little old me do? But when you really think about it, we often put one face to a big issue, and they get credited for fixing it. Or like Martin Luther King is the face of civil rights. Well, of course, he didn't do all that. He had millions, and I'm sure he'd be the first person to tell you, he had millions of people doing all sorts of random things that you never thought. He had a whole army of people who would harass each other. So when they did the sit-ins, they'd become like immune to the
violence and all of that
the
stuff.
heckling,
Mhm.
the rudeness, you know. So who would have thought that's a skill that somebody needed, to be able to train people to do a sit-in and be able to ignore
Yeah.
all the noise that would be going on.
That
So
would be hard. That would be really
that would be
hard.
really hard for me. That would
Me
be really
too.
hard
'Cause
for
I'm
me. But you know what? That's why, you know, you influence who you can, where you can, and that's all you can do. You know,
Yeah.
you're not gonna, none of us are gonna
no.
be an MLK in this, but each of us are gonna do a little thing to contribute to the collective whole.
Right.
So
Everybody has something, some kind of something they can do. Never think I don't have talent or I'm not smart enough. Never think that, because I'm
it's a
guilty of
little
telling
thing.
myself that
Yeah,
I'm
and
not good enough. What am I doing talking to people on the internet? But here I am, because you know why? Because I love my country. I want to help. I want this to be a place where our daughters and our people, the gay and trans, all the people that we love in our lives, can live their lives.
And every little bit helps.
Yes.
Every little bit of content helps, and whatnot.
and just talking to people, like even if it's, you know, the 18-year-old kid behind the, you know, the grocery store checkout, you know, counter. You don't know. Maybe she doesn't know that Roe v. Wade isn't protecting her anymore. Maybe she doesn't know how fucking dangerous Trump is and how close we are to having a nightmare second presidency, you know. And if you just ask her, you know, have you heard about Project 2025? You know, it affects you. They want to get rid of unions and overtime, and that can affect your wages. And
Yeah, we have
just
a lot to
something
talk about.
Look it up after your shift, whatever. And it's really fucking scary. And if you really care about people, they can tell that it's coming from a place of you don't want them to suffer. You know, it becomes really easy to talk to people when it's really important like this.
When you find that common ground.
Yeah.
You do, and not only that, but think about Project 2025 in a sense of, okay, they want us to have all the babies and not do anything.
Yeah.
But do they not understand it in the day and time that a lot of it takes 2 incomes
It has since the
to
80s
run a
at
household?
least.
Do you think things are going to get cheaper?
Not
No.
when they have no
I
intention
mean-
of reining in corporate greed.
You're not going
Right.
to be able to feed all those kids you got to have. And you
Yeah,
probably
go-
don't have
Yeah, and pick a-
access to insurance and all that other good stuff, you know.
Yeah.
People don't think about it like
And
that.
pick
You
a
won't be able to
topic
work
and it's
2
in
jobs.
there. Yeah, there's even things to damage the environment and everything else. Like, if you have a topic, it's in there somewhere.
Every
and they're doing something
government
terrible with it.
Category. So like commerce, education, communications.
And the overarching
Um,
theme is making the executive branch a dictator and giving
Mhm.
them no checks and balances and answering
Yeah.
to no one, consolidating power. And that's everything the United States was founded against.
And conservatives are supposed to be against
Yeah, big government.
more executive power. They get all pissed off. Biden, cancels student debt, and that's a bridge too far. But they want Trump to be able to
Yeah.
throw you in jail for anything he doesn't
Listen,
like.
let's not help students pay off student loans, but let's give those rich people even more money.
Can we ban the mandate for leadership? Yeah, that's a good idea. We should put it on the banned books list.
Can we make it so that we can jail women that get abortion care when they have an ectopic pregnancy that would have killed them anyway? Can
Or
we
they've
put them
already
in
had
jail like
miscarriage.
Ken Paxton says, or give them the death penalty like Ken Paxton is working on doing in Texas?
or have a miscarriage and it doesn't come out all the way, and you need a DNC, which is considered an abortion, you know, so you don't freaking get sepsis no more.
Or you
They're
need
gonna
birth
make you
control for a
die, girl.
hormonal
You're gonna die.
problem, and so you just get to bleed to death.
Yeah.
You can't even get basic treatment for things that we know how to fix or how to treat because it can also be used for something else.
Absolutely.
Not to mention the banning porn. So librarian here, there's 2 of us on here, haha. Who defines what is porn? According to the Supreme Court, it's the Miller test, which basically nothing passes. But the point is, whoever's in power can decide what's porn. So if you read romance novels or you write them, girl, you in trouble, because when they did it, the men are not reading what's in the romance novels. They do not know what's in there, girls. And let's not tell them. But
I love those
but
things.
if
Oh,
they
we
do,
should tell them. Maybe they'd be better at it.
Let's
I
go,
know.
Bridgerton.
Why do you think we're reading the romance novel? Because this guy knows shit you don't.
That's right.
But they would ban any kind of health education, but also at risk would be pleasure reading. Anything that's been produced by HBO is off the air.
Gone. Sorry, Game
No
of
more
Thrones fans.
Cinemax, y'all.
Yeah,
They wanna
I mean,
take-
it's
No
all
more
in who
House of the
defines it.
Dragon.
They want to defund PBS and NPR,
Yeah.
Hmm.
which would cripple them. They get public funding and they have to do things for this public funding, but they don't like what they say, or the Heritage Foundation is the they I'm talking about. So they feel it's become too woke and leftist, so they want to defund it and then allow the president to take over it. Like, it's part of the Insurrection Act as the president. Wait, is it the Insurrection Act or yes, the Insurrection Act, where martial law is declared, and that allows the president to take over the airwaves. Because think about what it was intended to do. So naturally, yeah, it takes over all communications, television, radio, all of that. And so that sounds pretty Nazi. Oh, wait, I'm
That's all, I'm sorry.
I can't say
The
that
whole
word.
thing is fascism. That's what it is.
fascist.
Fascism.
Re-
No little
representative
mustaches. No little
of-
mustaches.
Little mustache man.
Well,
Yep.
And PBS and NPR they were founded and they are largely funded by donation, just like most public libraries, and they bridge the gap to low income and mid income families who can't afford to pay for cable or for preschool or for Head Start or whatever. Like that's what they're for.
Mhm.
The reason why Sesame Street is so diverse is because it was designed specifically for minority neighborhoods who who did not have access and probably still don't to Head Start and other preschool things.
Dude, I
That's why
love
they.
Sesame Street. Go ahead.
Oh my God. The reason Gen X is so chill with everybody, for the most part, except for some assholes, is because we watched PBS and Sesame Street.
Yeah.
It's the ones who didn't that have a
Mr.
problem.
Rogers.
And all their
Uh,
friends are something. So,
I mean, think about what we grew up
um,
on. Bob Ross and Reading Rainbow and Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street. It was all peace, love, happiness,
do you
live
remember
and
Hey
let
You
live.
Guys? What was that one?
Mm-hmm. Goonies,
Electric Company.
yeah.
Electric Company, yeah.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm chatting with our commenters. They're so fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lost a little bit.
No, I'm just
Hi,
so glad
hi, everybody. By the way, everybody in there. Hi.
Yeah, I'm just so glad people are here and watching and listening.
Well, and Kim mentions that one of the things they're going after is Head Start. I didn't have
Yeah, I was
access to
just
Head
trying to
Start when
find
I
that
was.
actually.
Yeah, I did not have access to Head Start when I was growing up in the 80s just because of our zip code. But
Oh, yeah.
and me and my siblings didn't have access to preschool, but that would have been a freaking amazing. And it would have taken a lot of stress from my mom who needed daycare. And also it would have helped prepared us for school because transitioning into school was very stressful. Um, because we
I
didn't
was
have
lucky
any
enough
ease into it.
to have parents who could pay for it because it's not free in New York. In Georgia, it's taken care of through the lottery system, so it's free pre-K
Oh.
here. And like when I looked, I don't know why I did this, but I looked about how much it would cost to go to pre-K in New York, just outside of New York City where my parents live. It's a lot of money. I want to say it was like $1,500
Oh, yeah.
a semester, like, going from like September to December, then January to June or whatever. So I was like, good God, like it is such
Yeah.
a benefit to be able to send your kid to, a Head Start, which was that you can hold in Georgia, you can hold a pre-K in daycare centers. So I would
Yeah.
just have to pay for my daughter to
Yeah,
have
that's
before and
here
after
too.
care. And then she would be at like school for most of the day, which I didn't have to pay for. I didn't have to pay for a lunch anymore. I didn't have to pay for all of that. It was all included. And so I was just paying before and after care. But you could also pay at that same daycare, you could pay for a different pre-K that was more Montessori-esque. But I was like, you know what? She will do just fine with public school pre-K. I don't
I
need to
have
spend
friends from
$400
college.
a month.
I have friends
Well,
from
I
college
mean,
with bachelor degrees and master's degrees that quit their jobs to become full-time um, mothers, which is wonderful that they could, but because it was actually cheaper for them than paying for daycare. Like they weren't making enough money with a master's degree to pay for fucking daycare.
yeah. I mean,
That's
I
insane.
did. I had to quit. Well, see, I quit work when Dalen was in kindergarten because he wasn't quite yet diagnosed. We were just, I can't believe he's 20 now. I didn't think we'd ever make it here. But to be honest, because it was a long, hard road. But by the time he got in kinder, he was not, I mean, I'd taken him everywhere, and it was so frustrating. And he didn't get he didn't get diagnosed till like the end of his kindergarten year. And I even waited a year to start him too, because I was also trying to do therapy over here. But work was giving me such a hard time too. And my husband traveled, gone all the time. And Dalen he couldn't handle that kind of, okay, we're going to come home and we're going to do homework and bath time and supper. And, he needed to be more, it just wasn't
Um,
working. And
right,
daycare's expensive.
Yeah, but Head Start and early intervention, which is what Dalen needed, those need more funding, not less.
Yeah.
Because the people slipping through the cracks are those who are already marginalized, the poor, minorities, etc. And as a librarian, I can tell you, they will tell you that the most valuable thing you can do for your child is read to them from birth.
Yeah.
Because a child, by the time they reach kindergarten, a child that has been read to will have heard like 50 million more words or something like that than a child that has not been. And so they will already have an expanded vocabulary, a better understanding of phonics, a better interest, more imagination. Like there's so many things tied to it. And Head Start is a big way that many underprivileged or disadvantaged youth have access to reading material that and public libraries who usually work hand in hand. Yeah,
And when
restricting
I was,
access to food. We're
I
literally
mean,
taking food out of the
This would
mouths of children.
this would affect not just SNAP benefits, which would affect kids like when they go home, but this would affect educational institutions that provide breakfast and lunch for kids, and often that's the only time that they eat. So they
mhm.
want to get rid of that program too. Um, I don't know why they feel the need to cut those. Like really, it's pennies on the dollar of what this country spends its money on. The little cut this, cut that, like the majority of it are just pennies on the dollar. Like it's not the like the
I can
the
I can tell you
stuff.
what it means to me, those pennies on a dollar. The other day, I'm a disabled veteran. I have 2 kids. I'm divorced. And my kids um, qualify for free lunch, and I'm so fucking grateful. And I was nervous about this summer because they're teenagers and they're growing
They're
so
hungry.
fast and they're so hungry
They're hungry, and
and
I'm
it's
telling
so
you,
They're hungry.
expensive.
it is expensive to feed. Like my son is 20 and he's hungry all the time. I can't keep him
Yeah,
fed.
but I got in the mail. I got a card. Here in Maryland, they call it Sunbucks, and it's a EBT card, I think, and they set it. It's the first time I've ever gotten one or needed one or signed up for one because situations change and sometimes you need a little help, and it's no
Oh
one's
yeah,
fault.
no judgment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no
And
judgment.
I'm
No
saying it for all
judgment.
the ladies out there. If you have a complex
No.
about it, don't. It's no one's fault. Life happens. And we elect people to government to help relieve suffering when times are really fucking
We
hard.
pay into
And
this
I
shit.
can't
That's
tell
what
you what it means to have $80 every month. That's 40 for each kid for the summer to help pay for groceries. I can't tell you what that means to me.
And what's really sad is $40 doesn't go very far.
No,
It doesn't.
And so that's heartbreaking. And you probably had to fight
heartbreaking.
for that. You probably had to jump through hoops to get that. And there's tons of people who need it who don't know about it and don't
It makes
know
me
what to do
angry.
Yeah,
to even access it.
or feel like they don't deserve it, or
Yeah.
that their government shouldn't be doing stuff like this, and they should be pulling up by their bootstraps, and they're working 3 jobs and they never see their kids, and their kids
nobody
miss
should
them and they
have
make them
to
miss their kids.
work
No
3
one should have to
jobs
do that.
and still not
Yeah, I
make
remember
ends meet.
Nope.
I remember growing up, there were 3 of us kids at home at the same time, and my dad lost his job. My mom and my dad both worked full time. And when my dad lost his job, we lost the house. We had to move. We moved in with my
Oh,
oldest sister.
yeah,
My
we lost
sister,
our house too.
my sister just older than me. We shared a room in the garage of my sister's house with
I
all
did
of our
that.
earthly possessions between us and the garage door. Honest to God, right? Thank God it was North Texas, so at least it was warm, but it was a little hot in the summer.
Oh my
Um, and my dad finally agreed to apply for food stamps, but only because he felt bad about the financial burden we were putting on my oldest sister for food. And it was back when it was the paper money that you pulled out of the book. And the first time we went to the store with those, I mean, you've never seen a 6 foot, 300 pound man crumble with shame the way he did. And he would not spend a penny on sugar, on snacks. No, that man could stretch a dollar so fucking far. But it broke him to do that. And I mean, all his sisters and stuff are like, just fucking do it, feed your kids, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I felt, I felt bad about it, but also like, thank God, we're going to be okay. And we were only on it for the few months we were at my sister's house, but it saved us from spiraling even further down.
Yep.
For all you military families or know someone in the military, providing education choice for federal children. A lot of times, federal, I've never heard them called federal children, but whatever. A lot of times, a lot of the bases have K-12 or K-12 and 6th through 8th grade, but won't have a high school. Very few bases have a high school. So kids, will on the bases will go to, the military schools and then get bused to public school for high school or whatever the situation is. This is their code for, we're going to privatize this and your kids are going to get screwed in some way, shape, or form, because they say that they're going to it's targeting District of Columbia, but the way that it's often classified in like military ease, Vix, you can like probably attest to this, like they'll army ease or armed forces language,
Jargon.
like the jargon. Yeah, thank you. You think it means one thing, but it means the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one little thing.
Yeah, and so many
Restore-
acronyms, and they
Oh,
don't
yeah,
sound
they have
like
a lot of.
anything that they, are for. Like there's an acronym SHARP. What do you think it's for? And if you know, don't answer. But what do you think it's for? SHARP. SHARP. Sexual harassment and rape prevention. Didn't see that coming, did you? Surprise. SHARP. I don't know. It doesn't make sense, but it's very important.
I think they do that on purpose. So when they say it's a sharp investigation, you'll be like, oh, well, nah, that's nothing to worry about probably. And then you find out it's sexual harassment and rape. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Zuni mentioned that they closed the school of the Air Force Base in her district. And that's one of the things they're talking about is the military families getting an education. I mean, imagine you're based overseas. Your child doesn't speak that language. They may not have the same educational standards as we do. They probably have better, but that's another point. But you can't even provide a quality education while you're serving your country to your children. That's ridiculous.
And also, are they trying to take away like VA's benefits? Are they not as well?
They are. Page
Yes.
649 and 650, look it up. They want to make it so that if you are disabled, maybe your disability isn't on their list of things they cover anymore. Or maybe you're not worthy of benefits because you're not broken enough or not broken in the right way enough. So every expansion of
you.
Yeah, every expansion of conditions that we have fought for over the years since, way back when, fucking gone. And this is the party that says they respect us. Fuck them.
They don't. They lie. It's all just to. They use VA veterans as props.
They do. I mean,
shit.
the VA doctors are largely ones who are interning and then they leave. Like so my dad was a Vietnam vet, exposed to Agent Orange. Of course, they didn't admit that till the 90s. Two of my siblings have birth defects. Thank God I missed it. But that's why these genes aren't going anywhere because they trash. But he developed type 2 diabetes and he developed colon cancer. Both are directly related based on the Air Force's own studies to Agent Orange exposure. But of course, he wasn't diagnosed until it was way too damn late. Well, he wasn't a career military. He served and then he got out. Under what they're proposing here in Project 2025, he would not qualify for both veterans disability and regular disability. He would only qualify for what he put into the military or when he'd worked, and he'd worked longer. So it would be that. So current disability, I mean, granted he worked for forever, but like current disability at the high end is like $1,200. It starts at $800 a month.
Which goes about how far, everybody? Nowhere.
That's not even rent. That's not even rent
No.
for most people.
That's
It's
the
So,
not even
um,
half of rent for most people.
exactly.
It's less than a
So you're
third of
going to
the
say,
rent where we are in Maryland. Fuck. Jesus.
my
yeah, it's ridiculous.
they're also for veterans. They're going to reduce what's covered or can be used to claim disability through the military. So it's kind of like Trump's, well, if we don't test, then there's not that many cases. Yeah, it's going to go down because you're letting people die of diseases or mental health issues. Like, I see the whole mental health program going away in the military. They spent
yeah.
decades trying to help these veterans get the mental health care that they need because it's not them, it's not the Heritage Foundation going to war or serving in the military. They think that you just got to get over it. And I've never seen war, but I know how horrible it is. I don't need to see it to know. They
My
don't realize
grandfather
that.
killed himself. My grandfather killed himself in 1960 because he could not deal with what happened after World War II.
And
Because
it's
he was
not
very,
just
very
war.
ill. And
No, it's so much more, but there's so much domestic violence and rape and murders and suicides that are directly related to traumas and mental health disorders
yep,
that are treatable if we had the infrastructure for it, and we don't. I mean, even now with all the work that the VA has done, there's still not enough services for veterans for mental health.
And I have no problem with this idea, but like they have this theme in a lot of their sections. Consider recruiting retired people or or people who don't normally work to another job so that they can have a job. And it's like, all right, retired physicians who want to serve vets to be a doctor and help with healthcare, great. One problem. If a doctor retired like 5 years ago, they need to keep current on their things. So how do you justify that when there's licensing issues that might be at play? Just general knowledge, like any career, it will have that. You know, if you're retired from a profession long enough, you're not going to be in the fold of what's the easiest, fastest, cost-effective treatments for things are. So I really hate that they are doing this because there's so many other better solutions to it than like this slap together, like, hey, let's put this group of people in this job because it'll cost less and they need a job anyway.
it's just like
Well,
school
and
What?
counselors. They want to put
school counselors, yeah.
clergy. They want to put clergy in school counseling. I'm sorry, no.
No, those are the
They don't have
ones raping
counseling
your
training.
babies.
You're
No.
gonna get somebody that went to school and a degree for that. You're not going to put somebody that, no.
No. And going back briefly to the VA doctors, when my dad, thankfully he was approved for VA disability and they did aggressively try to treat, but it was way too late. But he had to drive 2 hours to get to the local VA, the closest VA hospital because of where he lived, which that's a hell of a lot of travel. And two, the doctors they basically would serve a term of a certain number of years at the beginning of their career in exchange for some of their medical debt. I mean, their educational debt being removed, and then they'd leave. So when he was having type 4 colon cancer treatments, his doctor would change every 6 months. So how are they keeping informed of what, I mean, I know they have notes and records and nurses and so forth, but like, what is he getting the same quality care as a fucking billionaire that goes to the Mayo Clinic? No.
I can't tell you how frustrating it is to have a couple of chronic illnesses and to get new doctors constantly.
Mhm.
You know, to have
You
to
feel like you're telling them the
constantly,
same thing over and over and over again.
yeah, constantly having to tell them, yeah, these are all the things that are wrong with me, and these are all the things that I can't, I can't really do, and these are all the things I'm doing to try to help with my pain, and these are all the, all the tests I've had to over and over again.
And you have to break them down again and again. Like, this goes
Yeah,
back to
and
being a woman, of course. It's, oh, it's in your head, or oh, it's your hormones.
yeah,
Bitch, we've
and
been
is
through
this
this
doctor
with
going to
12 doctors.
believe me? Are they going to
Mhm.
look in my file, spend the 2 seconds to look in my file and see the 12 years of records detailing all of my history? Or are they going to look at my purple hair and my baby face and decide that I'm too young to be feeling all of this pain and fuck me, I guess? Because it happens
No.
sometimes, and it's fucking disgusting and
Well,
demoralizing
and
every
the
time.
process the process to get proper diagnosis, particularly for immunological diseases or autoimmune diseases, is already effing bullshit. And then you add to it that you're constantly having to change doctors. You've got to break them in. You got to convince them, I'm not just seeking drugs. This isn't just mental health. This is, the mental health is part of it, but it's partly caused by the fact that I have all these other symptoms that are keeping me from doing anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, my ex-partner went through 12 plus years of multiple doctors of me forcing her to go before she finally got a diagnosis after I left of her her immune condition. But so many doctors were like, you're just fat, or it's because you're lesbian. If you had sex with a man, you'd be exposed to hormones that would balance you out. Oh yeah, he said that. Yeah. Oh, it's because your gallbladder has gallstones, so we're just going to remove it the day before Thanksgiving. Because that's why you have chronic pain and migraines and PCOS, because that makes sense. Loading her up with
Oh my God.
prescriptions and all kinds of shit. And I know that her story is not that rare because I know plenty of other people that have gone through it too. I've talked to several of you ladies on Discord that have. It's already hard enough to get the diagnosis, but let's not make it harder.
Yeah,
And
please believe
particularly not for our
women.
veterans.
If women tell you they're in pain, fucking believe us.
And
Yeah.
do you
If you
think
can,
there's
if you can
We're
shoot a
too
baby up,
tired. We're too tired to lie to you.
I
We're
just
too
think it's
tired
stupid
from all the bullshit.
that they think that like lesbians or somebody would not use birth control. Yeah, birth control is not used just for birth control, people.
I have to tell you guys a funny aside because we're being very depressing. So, I was with women for many years, and I was with one of them, the first one for 5 years, and it was my first time going to the gynecologist, and she's like holding my hand because I'm bawling because I have trauma, and it's a female doctor. She's really cool and everything,
Oh, bless
and
your heart.
the female doctor's like, well, what are you using for birth control? And we're like, abstinence, and she's like, well, I mean, but you might decide, and I'm like, lack of exposure. And the nurse leaves, the doctor comes in, he's a guy, he starts asking us the same question, and she's told him that we won't tell him what we're doing. And finally I'm like, lesbianism, it's called lesbianism, neither of us has a dick. And he goes, oh. I'm like, highly effective, recommend. I'm like, what the fuck, do I have to start with that?
Works every time.
Jesus. Now we use condoms because I'm with the dude. Now you know.
Oh, this is a good point that I just saw. They want to take away the Medicare ability to negotiate. So
Yep.
reversing Biden's work. And why do you think that could be? Could most of them be in bed with Big Pharma? Not to sound like a conspiracy theorist.
Oh yeah, they are.
Come on.
So
Money, baby.
just to make a point, every conspiracy theory isn't untrue. It's just not yet proven. So I don't think you're
Fair
being
enough.
a conspiracy theorist, but it's not bad if you are because the data kind of supports
I mean,
that.
a lot of them are
Who's making all the
invested
damn money?
in
Yeah.
healthcare.
Look who's making all the fucking money. I mean, oh my God, ladies, sorry for the side note. My very good friend who is on a permanent camping trip and is deathly allergic to bee stings went to her doctor and requested a refill of her EpiPen because she had to use it. And they said, it's too soon.
Are you fucking kidding me? Bees don't come on a
Nope.
schedule, bitch.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have you scheduled for another bee sting for 2 months. Oh, okay.
Oh my
well,
God.
too bad.
And
Are you
EpiPens
kidding me?
are not cheap either.
No, and that's the thing. So this is where it ties in. The dude who has the patent or whatever, the EpiPen dude, remember a couple years ago, they cost like $5 to make.
Yeah.
He wants to charge over $1,000, and his point is, I can, and there's a need, so I'm going to.
Just like with the what was
I
it?
want to stab him with all the bees.
Yeah. Insulin. When the guys invented
Yes.
insulin. They wanted to be able to sell it for cheap because it wasn't that much to make. But look now.
Oh, no, with insulin, the patent, I think he
Yeah.
sold it for like $1 because
Yeah.
he wanted it to be free because it would save lives and he didn't feel like
Same
it was
with-
morally right to
Right.
charge
Same with
people.
antibiotics. The guy who invented penicillin, he like sold the
Pasteur.
patent for $1 or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Let me spell it out for you guys. There's one side in November that only cares about how much power they can amass to get as much money as they can, as quickly as they can, to have as good a time as they can before they fucking die. And then there's the other side that wants to make sure that people are safe and have what they need to survive, that our planet doesn't get further destroyed, that our babies make it to graduation day in one piece.
Yep.
You know, that my daughter's not going to die at 17 if, she and her boyfriend, have sex and she ends up with an ectopic pregnancy or whatever it is.
Or she's a victim of assault.
Or she's a victim of assault. I mean,
Oh, can I add another thing about Project 2025 is let's talk about interracial marriage, okay, for a second, because my daughter's getting married in December to a gentleman, a young man who I love, is from Puerto Rico. He's not white, even though he's Puerto Rican, okay? And I have other family members that are married to people that are not white as well. So we need to let people know that that they're not going to let you do that.
Well, in June was just Loving Day, which is the anniversary of the court decision that
Yeah.
permitted interracial marriage.
Loving,
It hasn't been that long.
no, 60s. And how long did they have to go through that and not live in Virginia and live somewhere else to even,
I mean, they could be, not only could they be denied the right to marry, they could be denied all of the things that, all the benefits attached to that, the tax benefits, the medical benefits, blah, blah, blah. But they were actively targeted and killed or attacked or run out of town or denied.
if they came home, they got arrested.
Exactly.
If they knew they came back to Virginia to see their folks, the police showed up.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Clarence Thomas
is married to a white woman, and he's not
but I
white.
guarantee you his marriage is not at risk no matter what they do with that law.
or maybe he doesn't fucking care because she's crazy. I mean, they both are.
Maybe that's
I mean,
But-
you could just ask
Let's be
her,
honest.
but-
it's legal now. Sorry.
Let's be honest. Sorry, Jenny, it's the law now. Sorry. I don't know. Maybe.
Jenny, who's been in like 2 cults now. I mean, she was in a cult way before this cult. Y'all remember that?
Well, it's
Yeah.
easy to get sucked into another one when you're already in one.
You're impressionable.
Yeah,
And
and
one of the
cults
things
train
we-
you not to believe outside sources. So if another thing
There-
comes along saying we have the answer, and all the outside sources, don't believe those.
I mean,
Easy to
seriously.
Yeah,
there's
Ajaka
just-
Broad mentions 2 other people that have a similar thing. They praise the Jim Crow years, yet
And they get one way.
they would be people who would be hurt by those rules being denied.
And
The other
you
thing
know
I was
that
going to
Byron
say that we were
Donaldson
talking.
guy? Do you think he was
Yeah.
even alive during Jim Crow? Fuck no.
Oh no,
Fuck
it sounds
no.
great when you
You
weren't
think
there.
he knows what it's like to live under Jim Crow? No.
Yeah. Yeah, if I could have the 50s housewife life where there's like, all these machines that do my work and I drink wine all day and take my little Valium pill and the nanny takes care of the kid, hell yeah, sign my ass up.
The Jane
But
Jetson's
that's
life.
not but that is not what is happening this day and age, and that's not what would be going on. And my husband wouldn't look like the average 50s working husband who makes enough money to support a family either. So try again. One of the things we were talking about was the elite, and also I wanted to mention the effects on labor. So 2 things that they're planning on doing. One, if you work over 40 hours, part of the Project 2025 says you don't get paid for overtime. Fuck that. And number 2, they also want children in public schools who have to take the ASVAB.
ASVAB.
Say
ASVAB.
Yes. That thing that they looked at me and said, no, you don't need to take that, honey. But those in private schools don't have to take it.
Fuck.
What
Oh,
are
you know what
we
that means?
creating?
You know what that means? It means they want to send the children of the middle class and the poor to fucking die while all your rich kids can go off to
Exactly.
college and,
And honey, if you got special
Wall
needs kids,
Street and
they
yeah.
don't get an education.
Nope.
Nope.
That's exactly what that means. If
And they
public
won't get
school
their
kids are taking the ASVAB, it means they're
Yeah.
fucking cannon fodder, and that's what they think of you.
Yeah.
Get
So
better,
I
idols.
know we're not supposed
like
to
other
talk
people.
about the little
This
mustache
is
man,
important
but
for labor.
yes.
Comment-
Yes.
Let me.
Bah.
Sorry. Okay.
crazy.
So they want
My
to
brain's
mess
working in the
with
background.
ADA and pregnancy accommodations for
How hard is
women
it to get maternity
because
leave now?
yeah, there is another one about overtime.
Hmm.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
executive order. So it like you don't have to serve anybody can refuse you service if you're LGBTQ.
Which, by the way, means that you walk into a emergency room with a limb falling off, the doctor can say, "I don't believe in people like you. You get to bleed to death in the lobby."
Yeah.
Yeah, and they get to decide what your orientation is
Here
or
we
what your
go.
gender is. So if you have, if you're a girl with blue hair or a guy with pink hair or a girl with shaved, sides and a green fucking mohawk, they can go, "Oh, you're obviously this. We're not going to treat you." I mean, they're just going to say whatever they want because they don't like the look of you. And that goes for your skin color, what you look like, whose hand you're holding, what they look like, any of it.
Mhm.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so there's the overtime. And what's funny is the one under it, the Working Families Flexibility Act, sounds like a good idea. That instead of getting paid time and a half, instead you could accrue paid time off. Okay, let's be real. Why are you working overtime? Because you need the time and a half fucking money to pay your fucking bills. You don't have time to take a vacation nor the money to take a vacation. You
Yeah.
need the money for the time you worked. Like my ex-wife, every overtime available, took it, busted her ass, made the money because that's what we needed to survive. Like if you can't make it on your base wage and you need overtime to survive, they are screwing you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
what do you think that study is going to look like? Commit to an honest
Talk about
study
child.
of what it's like for women in the workplace. But there's one that said that your overtime does not have to be paid to you like the next paycheck. Like employers would be able to spread it out over a period of time.
So it'd be like you get it quarterly or every 6 months or
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
they feel
Exactly.
like.
Here you go.
Fuck. Oh, just every
And they
day
use
you
these
learn about a
buzzwords
new
that sound like
aspect of
good
the
thing, but
nightmare. Yeah.
What's this
Oh.
Sabbath rest?
What's that say?
yeah, so that's a great idea, except we need emergency rooms and we need places for people to go to spend their Sunday. Having worked retail, I'll tell you where all the good Christians go after church is to torture all of the
Old
employees in the
Navy.
retail and the restaurants because they've just been absolved of all their sins, so they're ready to be shitheads
Cracker
again.
Barrel and
Like,
Applebee's,
Hell yeah.
Waffle House.
yep.
Oh, interesting. This is conditional on whether you're a sincere practicer of a certain religion, whether they will recognize your Sabbath day as
Yeah,
something different than
'cause
the
everybody-
Sunday.
Some people
I
have
guess who
Sabbath on a
determines that?
Friday or Saturday, correct? I mean, which Sabbath?
Well, they said it's Sunday in
Yeah.
the fine print. I mean, there's so much bad shit in there, guys. I mean, it's a cotton candy, a candy store buffet of nightmare.
There it is.
And there's a
Here
ton
it is.
in
The overtime,
overtime pay
threshold. And then,
Yeah,
sorry,
they do
I'm
the non-exempt and
scrolling.
exempt worker
I
shit.
don't-
Ooh, deep breath. Deep breath.
We're probably going to have to spend a couple
And who
of
do you think
episodes
this
on Project
screws over more?
2025 because,
Women.
ugh.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna need,
Mhm.
and I'm not really drinking. I'm like, I'm gonna need a stiff drink after.
I don't drink, but I
I
think I'm
pulled
going to
out
have
the
to start
whiskey
day
tonight,
drinking.
ladies.
Oh, right. We're going to need some edibles, couple drinks, some
Mhm.
margaritas. Let's do it.
Where's
I made
my
this thing a
note?
bit
There we
strong
go.
though.
I just supposed it on name. I'm like, I used to work for parts on some, and you get so tired. You go, this is how much is this? Is this part of that sign? I'm like, can you read? Can you read? Okay.
Dude, I swear to death, every person in the United States should have to work 1 month during Christmas
Oh,
in
yeah.
retail. They should have to work a Friday and Saturday night in a restaurant establishment.
Black
Or
Friday. Black Friday.
Black Friday, yes.
Work, open that Thursday like at 4, work all night, all day.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
Or like a Mother's Day at Olive Garden. Get in there, man.
Ah, yeah.
Right.
Get in there and make those mamas happy. But yeah, I mean,
I'm like,
Here's
hey,
the
if you
thing,
want
it
that
doesn't-
cheaper, you might as well go to the freaking Goodwill. I
Yeah.
mean, basically, we're giving it away at this point, and you want it cheaper.
Yep.
Hello, you know. It's help. That's what I'm saying.
So-
Well, you
Everybody should be required to work either food service, retail, at least once in their life to know what it's
Absolutely.
like to have people crap on you on the
And
The
there's
daily.
just so
second you're
much-
behind a counter, people treat you like you're half
Yeah.
of a human, if
They
that.
think they're so much better.
Mhm.
I worked at a gas station throughout
Oh, yeah, they
college,
do.
and you'd be amazed. Well, no, probably you guys wouldn't, but like most of us were college students. Some of us in that gas station were PhD candidates at one of the universities where I went to college. So like we're a smart group of gas station employees who didn't have trust funds that we didn't have to work. And
Mhm.
like people would talk to us like we were like idiots, like complete morons. Like I had a coworker getting his PhD in like some weird nuclear physics, or I don't know what it was. It was letter math. That's all I know it was. Like that's
dreaded
above my
letter
pay
math.
grade.
Yeah.
But, and like people would talk to him like, you know, he had like a 5th grade education, and he would just like,
It's insane.
he would just smile and
And it's
all
just
right.
insulting too. You're just like,
Mhm.
It is. I managed a convenience store for several months before I left Cleveland, and all of my staff members were college students. And I cannot tell you how many people we had to teach how to pump gas, how to put air in their tires,
Oh,
and
bless their
we don't even
heart.
want to talk about the bathrooms. Don't even want to
Oh
talk about the bathrooms.
no!
Oh,
And it's
God.
like,
Yeah, that's terrible.
you people suck.
sorry to laugh,
Yeah,
but
it's insane. Oh yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
Mm.
By the way, books. I worked in bookstores for a long time too. Bookstore with a cafe. Ooh, those bathrooms are the worst bathrooms because coffee is a laxative, my friends. Ooh, I
Yeah.
have seen some things.
We got an explosion installed too, y'all. An explosion.
Oh yeah, this one lady, honest to God, we followed her on the security cameras afterward. She came in the door. She has on all white, and she's like marching to the bathroom like on a mission. And we're like, well, that's weird. And then something terrible happens in the bathroom, something horrendous. She exits. I don't know how she didn't get any on this white outfit. She gets out as quickly as she got in,
Talent.
clean somehow. But that bathroom, holy shit, we had to close it for like 2 hours. We had to take turns because nobody could stand there long enough.
Oh
It was
no!
terrible.
Oh no!
Oy
Sorry.
vey.
Oh, a shit shower all over the women's bathroom.
Mhm.
Oh, Erica's
Yeah,
got
the
a
men's
horror
bathroom's
story
bad, but the
too.
girls' bathroom can be worse. It's sad.
Plus, there's
okay.
blood
Ladies,
in
take
ours,
that
guys.
stuff home. I
There's
know
blood in
sometimes you
ours.
can't help it, but take that stuff
Mm.
home.
Yeah, if you can.
Okay, we're almost at 9 o'clock. There's one other thing that I wanted to mention, and that was part of Project 2025 is rolling back environmental protections and regulations. And we know what happens when regulations are rolled back. If you are from a certain time period, or if you've ever lived in Cleveland, you know about when the river would catch on fire because the pollution was so bad. You are well aware of the various other non-regulatory disasters that have happened throughout the world. When left to regulate themselves, they will not. And they will absolutely kill you. I hear a lot of young people talking about this whole system's broken, let's just burn it down. Here's the problem. I like for my food to have an acceptable level of rat hairs and feces in it. I prefer for my roads to be paved.
Yeah.
I like for there to be stop signs and working traffic lights. I appreciate police and fire protection when an emergency occurs. And all of those, among so many other things, are tied to government. So could we not?
Yes.
Can we just fix it from the inside, please?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
can't start. It just
And that's another thing. You raise a really good point about, you know, just in general. But with Project 2025, you can't tell me that Trump doesn't intend to be a dictator till the day he dies, because do you know how long it will take to rehire 40,000 employees? Do you know how long it will take, like, you to get a Social Security check at that rate?
Good Lord.
Like,
Oh, this
burning it
this
to the
country will
ground
grind to a halt.
yeah.
is not the answer.
Do you think
It's
when
not.
they take power that anybody's going to get their Social Security? No.
what is it, tens of thousands of civil servants that work. They're what keep the government going.
Yes.
When yeah, the government's the largest employer. So when there's a transition, but even when there's not a transition, that's who's making sure the bills are paid. That's who's making sure the job's getting done.
They run that place, baby. They keep it going.
And there's a
Yeah.
reason why there's protections for them, because
Mhm.
people don't know how
So
to
they
not
cannot be controlled.
engage in nepotism.
Yeah.
And also so they can't get fired for their political beliefs, because if a Democrat is working during a Republican presidency, they can't just get fired for their political ideology, as long as it's not affecting their work, and they shouldn't get fired regardless of if you believe the sky is purple, like, and
It doesn't
there's
matter.
a reason why.
And so many of those jobs have to do with accounting. And my math teacher used to say creative accountants go to jail. And then she would also sub that with political accountants go to prison. And it's like, ooh, girl, I feel you there.
Hmm.
I don't want those people to be politically motivated, and I don't want them to be controlled by someone's political ideology, because we all know who suffers for that. And it's
Yep.
And I'm
it's
not saying
those
there
on
couldn't be
top.
reforms. Of course, there could be reforms. I'm sure a lot of people get to keep their jobs because of protections. Everybody, there is, with anything that is meant to prevent people gaining the system will always be gained by somebody. It's just human nature. Somebody's always going to try to cheat the system, no matter what system you're looking at. So, like, if you're helping 100 people and 3 out of that 100 are, gaming the system as a federal employee, well, you know what? It's great that 97 other people are, have the protections. They can they do their jobs, and,
That's why we have
like,
checks and balances.
yeah, it's gonna happen no matter what job, no matter where you are. There's always gonna be something. Like, there's never gonna be perfection.
I mean, America, aren't we all? I mean, that's our thing. We are a work in progress always.
It says right
A
in there to form a
perfect
more
union.
perfect
Yeah,
union, not a
form
perfect union.
more perfect union. We're
Jinx,
always
Allison.
trying to do better than what we did before. We're always trying to make it better.
Better than adequate.
Yes.
That's right.
Yep.
I had one last thing. Sheila said something that I have been thinking about this whole episode earlier. She said that they want to outlaw joy and happiness. You're right. Look at Russia. That is our future. If Trump is elected in November, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, that's us. That's breadlines. That's
really
suffering. That's loss of hope. That's loss of feeling like anything you do matters.
You cannot be
Those
yourself.
people are broken.
Can't be
Listen to
yourself.
them. You can't be
That's such a
yourself. You
perfect
can't love who
comparison.
you want.
Mm-mm. And if they don't like you,
It's
they
such
will
a perfect
snatch
comparison.
you off the street and kill your ass.
And
yeah,
they
yeah.
want
Political
to
Get out
dissidents
a
disappear.
window.
Yeah, they want to get rid of dissenters. Those are also going to be going into the staging areas or concentration camps that 2025 is talking about, Project 2025. Okay. They want to get rid of recreational sex. Contraceptives are part of that. They want you working from the time you're fucking able-bodied and menstruating and popping out babies, and
Until you're dead.
they want you so distracted and pumping every last penny they can out of you and getting every last ounce of work out of you until you're dead. That's all they want for you, because they're not for you. They're not for any of us. No matter what you look like, who you love, what your political affiliation is, where you live in, what state you're in, it doesn't fucking matter. You're fodder to them. You're nothing. Or
And then you die, and then they'll just replace you with somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, here you go. I mean,
or
There's a sadness in
Yeah.
Russia. Like, my sister, before relations got really bad with Russia, she went to visit her friend, which after the Ukraine thing, I had to tell my sister, I think she's probably the child of an oligarch. Like, be prepared for learning that, because her friend is so wealthy, Like, she gave her Prada purses that she didn't want anymore, an espresso machine that she didn't want anymore. like when she was in college. So this girl comes from money. And anyway, I digress, but she made a point to notice that there's like a lack of joy in like everywhere you go. Like people are happy, people are laughing, people smile, but like there's no joy there. Like people just live and
Mhm.
survive,
exist.
you know.
And
They
they might have a
exist.
Well, and
good day, but
And that
that's
yeah,
Tucker
and
just what they
the
hope
Carlson,
for.
division,
Tucker
between the
Carlson,
oligarchs
oh, sorry.
and those on the those who live in regular places is profound. Like they have access to all of the latest things, the medical treatments, do whatever they want. I guarantee you they've got porn and sex workers and abortions and everything else.
Yeah.
But those living out in Siberia or these smaller areas, though it's their kids and their men being forced into a war they didn't ask for. It's not the children of the oligarchs. They're being ground down with labor in places that have absolutely no safety precautions at all. They're getting paid shit. There's no fucking food, no nothing, and they're just ground down and gray and weak, and that's why they're not uprising. They don't have the energy to uprise. They're already
Yeah.
dead inside.
And that's what they want for us. They want to put Project 2025 in place and pack fascism right into the cement of the Capitol fucking building. And they want to remove every ounce of us feeling like there's anything worth fighting for or that we can fight for anything better than that.
Mhm.
And then they'll
And what
have us, they'll win, the fucking planet will
But
burn and we're
they
all going to
won't
die.
they won't win in the end because
No.
like we're the wealthiest, most powerful nation in the world right now. But if they enact this, our lives are going to start sucking, and within 10 to 15 years we're going to be a failed state because it's not sustainable. What we accomplish now and what we're able to do under Project 2025 is not sustainable. We will become a failed state.
Yeah, especially if they
And
want to deport 20 million people. Think about what happened when 1 million of us died during
Yeah.
COVID. Do you remember how hard that was? There was
Well-
hardly, we had trouble finding teachers to teach our kids and grocers to keep the, stuff on the shelves and people to drive the trucks. Now imagine if 20 million people were gone and
Yeah.
people working
Because-
usually jobs to keep the essential things moving.
If they think groceries are expensive now, who the fuck do they think is going to pick their shit?
Mhm.
You think white people
And
are
how
going to go
expensive
out
is
there?
it going to be then?
You're going to pay
Yeah.
them $100 to do it. Well,
Head of lettuce will be $20.
you bitch
And
now.
I had
about
listened to
Yeah.
interviews from farmers when Florida got rid of its illegal migrants. Remember that
Oh
crisis?
my
they
God,
told you
yeah.
that was rotten.
And
Their stuff was rotting in the fields.
they interviewed farmers, and he's like, "Yeah, my friends came to help me harvest, but God love them, they're just not cut out for this work." And the workers who were helping him was like, "This is backbreaking. I had no idea how backbreaking this is." Because a lot of it, people think that it can just be mechanized like that. A lot of agriculture has to be handpicked. Because
It's really delicate work. It can be.
Georgia's famous for its peaches. We have
Peaches.
tons of peach orchards. You cannot mechanize
by
peach
hand.
picking.
Nope.
They do it by hand. And yet, once they're picked, there's a lot of things that mechanize it. But if you drop one, it bruises and it ruins the fruit.
Yeah.
So you can't. Now, pecans, you can shake. They have these things that shake the tree and it catches them, and then they put it in the truck. Sure, that can be mechanized, but not everything can be. Strawberries have to be
Nope.
handpicked. We have a huge strawberries farms here. They have to be handpicked. You can't just mechanize
Oranges?
everything.
Apple, all of that stuff has to be handpicked.
And a lot of what they'd cut back, so this goes back to the when you leave them to regulate themselves, they won't. This would roll back OSHA requirements. Right now, some of those migrant workers, they're not allowing them to take water breaks or breaks in the shade or whatever. They're just telling them, no, keep working. And they're paying them by the piece. So, yeah, that's inhumane. We're treating them like slave
some
labor.
people, government workers, and male people, not let them have water and shit. What the? I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
And I don't want to live in a world where little children are working in meat packing plants, and they've already caught many companies doing it in the United States in the last few years on the floors of mechanical shops and machinery manufacturing and stuff. We have child labor laws for a reason. Thank you, unions. We have a 5-day work week for a reason. Thank you, unions. And we can't go backwards with fewer worker protections. It's It's not worth it. It's not.
There's child labor laws for a reason, to send them to school to keep our population smart. And I fully believe this. I have no evidence to back it up, like concrete, but I fully believe they want children going back to work in factories and plants so they can stupefy the nation. That's
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Yeah,
Because
that's why they
they'll-
don't want public education, to tell the truth so we don't learn from the mistakes of our past.
We'll go back to the
And why
Depression
they want
era.
to go ahead and no kid left behind, whether it's okay to repeat a grade. If you need extra time, you need extra time. It happens. You know, some kids
I
need
mean,
that. It's all right. You know,
both
but
my
pushing
grandparents
kids,
did not
I don't know. It's
finish high school. You know why? Because they got married during the Depression. You know why? They had to go work. The
yeah.
whole family had to work, right? My grandpa said he would leave school because he'd have to go help dad work. Work, 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 work. That's all they know. Work, 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 work. Because you had to feed,
Mhm.
work till you die.
Well, and we've fallen behind as a nation in terms of the worldwide education systems. What those other countries have done is put more money into education, not less, more stringent requirements on teacher training and more standardized of teaching and so forth, not less. They've implemented the latest strategies in education, like not that Montessori's new, but some of the methods and some of the new stuff. I remember in Texas back in the 80s and 90s, every other grade was a toss year, and they kept changing it. So me and my brother got caught in double toss years a couple of times, and you spent more of your school year learning how to take a goddamn test that had nothing to do with anything than you did
Oh,
learning
the
anything.
TOS test. I remember.
And it wasn't as bad when I
Thank
went
you,
to school
Ross
as it is
Perot.
now.
Right.
Because
It had been a while. I was like TOS, TOSS.
they
And I was
changed
like, oh
the
no.
name. I think at one point, like
It was like TOS,
tax hit. It's been named so
It's
many
been so many
times.
different things. Oh my God.
You
But
remember the
they
horror
didn't
though, don't
test
you?
us
Oh, I
like
remember. And oh, I remember that year. And I had to take it back to back. Oh, I felt so
Mhm.
cheated.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Yep.
Fuck them.
they really started to change that like after I graduated because they changed the test. Like in high school, you had to take it like you started taking it your 10th grade year because you had to pass that particular one to graduate. So they gave you, you know, but they changed it the year that I took it and they made it harder. So they were like giving a little bit of a leeway on some of the scoring because it was new and but if you didn't you had to keep taking it, right? But thank God I passed it on the first time because they weren't testing. I mean, we got tested but not like how like my daughter and them, they just
Mhm.
they just teach to take a test. When I was still going to school, you actually sat in class and learned something and you wrote papers and you actually read a whole book and you did book reports and research papers and all of this stuff. And they
And they
don't do
took you
that
outside
anymore.
when when classes have the willies, they're acting all like crazy. Like our teachers would take us outside, run off some energy for 10 minutes and then come back and we'd be like, nowadays you can't do that. Teachers can't take kids out of the school and go do
Nope.
whatever.
Well, and there's so many mandates on the teachers on what they're supposed to accomplish, specifically targeted at the test goals, because a lot of the funding, I know it's true here in Pennsylvania and it was true in Texas at the time. I don't know if it is now. That your funding was based in part on your test scores.
Oh, it
And
is here in
instead of using
Texas.
yeah, so instead of using the test at the beginning of the year to see where your students are starting from and then knowing what you need to prioritize to get them up to speed, and then maybe testing them at the end of the year to see if they've gotten back up to
Right.
speed. Instead, that is the goal. And you're like, so I'm a professional test taker now, and that's it. Derek's slamming the door. Oh, he's doing. Sorry.
Stop slamming the door. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. All right. It's 9:15. This was all depressing, and I'm sorry.
I'm
But-
sorry, guys, but we had to talk about it.
Yeah, we have to
We
talk
did.
about this stuff.
Yeah, it's really
it's
But
important.
now Allison has put together the wonderful link tree with all these amazing tools. There are also a lot of websites and organizations popping up that are fighting Project 2025. There's a lot of tools there. Please do what you are able, but know your limits. You're not going to convince everybody.
Yeah, and self-care is important.
Some people are unreachable. Don't bother. but the people you can reach, one of the women's groups I'm in, I won't name them, but they were talking about like she wears a sticker that has like vote or something on it, and a cashier commented on it, and she wears the sticker on purpose, or this I think it's a pin, and she wears it on purpose because every time someone engages her with it, she uses it as an opportunity to ask them if they have a voting plan, if they're registered to vote, and then if it's a woman,
Well, that's a
she
good
asks if they
idea.
know about Project 2025, and what
And
she's finding is that women under 40, 80% of them do not know about Project 2025. Even if their mothers are heavily involved in politics and are like very knowledgeable, the younger generation is not hearing about it. They've got a million TikToks and other
Oh, yeah.
shit that they got going on. They
I
don't
try
know
to
the
tell
horror
my
that is coming.
daughter all the time, but I think she's just, I don't know. I mean, she's a teacher and everything. She's busy, and I get it. She does it's, but I'm like, this affects you, like, but
I make a big deal out of voting too. Like, like when I'm home, like I even though I don't need to say this, I do. So my daughter gets into her head that she needs to vote when she's older. Like it's a big deal, and I make her go with me too,
some
even
don't
though
know
she's
how to
just
do
likely
it.
going to sit in the car because she can't come in. It's like ritual. So when it's her turn to vote, she just does it because it's a ritual. I don't know if it'll work. Sounds legit in my head, but
well, what you're doing is you're making it very, very normal. You
Right.
know,
Mhm.
you're
yeah, I get
making
yeah.
it.
And you're
This is
modeling the
just part
behavior.
of being a good citizen, a
Yeah,
good
and
person, a good
kids learn
American.
from your
Yeah.
behavior.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know the percentage, but I know they get a lot of how they grow up is learned behavior,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I
so
was taught, you should vote, but you need to vote how I vote. No.
my
We
parents
have this saying
always
in
took me
libraries.
to vote.
Yeah,
My dad
we have
was
this saying in
my
libraries.
mom, no, but my dad was like, well, you need to vote Republican, and I'm like, all right. But when I got on my
Um,
own, I didn't tell anybody, I didn't tell my family how I voted.
yeah, yeah.
None of
We
your
say in
business.
libraries that children become readers in the laps of their caregivers or their parents, and it's true. When you read with them, they come to associate it with comfort and support, and then you've modeled behavior. The same's true of voting. Like my parents, and we've talked about this before. My parents were both really big on it is your civic duty as a citizen. You take the benefit of all these tax dollars for all these services that you use. You have a responsibility then to vote, to educate yourself and be a voter. My mom would not talk about how she voted, even though we felt like we knew. She would not tell anybody. She said it's private ballot, none your business. Um, and it's
Mhm.
just, I mean, when you make a big deal about it, I mean, the first time they get to vote, hey, you're registered to vote, let's go out to dinner, or here's an ice cream, or like celebrate that shit,
Yep.
or hook them up with some of these tools like Ballotpedia and some of the others that help you find out who's running, what ballot measures are on the line in your state or in your area. Make them have a plan so that they know what they need to do beforehand. Some states require IDs the first time you register. You vote after you've registered for the first time. Some don't. There's different laws in different states. Know what it is. Know where your voting place is,
Oh,
and have a
there's
plan when you go in
organizations
there.
that will help you get IDs, provide rides for you. I forgot the organization I saw. I
Vote
because I
Riders.
wanted to put it on the link tree because
Oh,
if
I think
you
it's
yeah.
votewriters.com.
In Texas, we can't register to vote online. So you have to have a person that can, a registrar, right? So there are like Powered by People here is a group that Beto has, and they go out and for Texas peeps, because please go get registered. Tell people, please, even if you don't use Powered by People, go get registered. Find somebody that can register you and tell you what to do. Don't be afraid to ask. And
Allison.
especially on college campuses, they're going to all the college campuses. They're making it really hard in Texas for college kids to vote on their
And they're
college
making where the
campus.
there's
Yes.
drop off locations, if they even allow them, are in very scarce places, mostly in affluent neighborhoods, not in the poor neighborhoods where they most need them. Allison, it's votewriters.org.
vote
They
right,
provide free information and help with voter IDs in all U.S. states.
yeah,
RIDERS.
that's a good one.
The League of Women Voters also have a lot of great information. And don't let me forget, Allison, I have a 5-page summary of the highlights of Project 2025 put together by a women's political group I belong to that I'll send to you as well if you want to look over it.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, we
All
would
right,
love to
friends.
post that in the Discord too.
Mhm.
I just wanted her to vet it first because, she's more
Understood. Understood. Yep.
She's more knowledgeable about Project 2025 by far than anyone else I know. So
Oh, yeah. I'm just a dork. So,
You're not a dork.
we love dorks.
We love nerds.
all right,
I'm a
friends.
dork girl.
We love you. Gotta go.
Bye, guys. Thanks for
Have a good
coming.
night.
Like and share on the way out, please.
Vote, vote,
Yes,
vote.
like and share.
Oh.
Pass the word around.